I did the same thing. I always complain like, oh man, I didn't learn anything in class or in school or whatever. But then also me, it's like, like, oh yeah, I just watch people's streams during class. Yeah, I don't know. For some classes, it would be like just something I wasn't really into, or I don't know. Or like for one of the classes, like the one we were making a game in, like over several semesters. I've talked about this a bajillion times on stream. That one, and like we'd be having discussions with the whole class about like which direction to take the game in. And in those, I would just be like playing. I remember I would be like playing Hexit or something like that. Cause yeah, because I remember like I would suggest something and they'd be like, no, that's not a good idea. We won't do that. So it's like, fine, I'll just stop participating then. If you don't want to listen to even listen to my ideas, yeah, like if you're not gonna whatever, even like account, like even consider what I'm saying, like I'll just stop saying stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I was like they're like, oh yeah, let's make the game. Yeah, there's always the argument, because I took the same class twice, not because I failed it, but because like I went to school out of state, so there's like scholarship stuff, so it ended up being that if I took an extra class, so I had to be, what was it, 6 classes or 5 classes or however much it was? Oh no, that was the last semester, so that would have been 5. Yeah, I only needed to take 4, well actually I only needed to take 3, but I was taking 4 for whatever reason. Or no, anyway, something like that. But anyway, if I took 5, it meant I was like a full-time student or something, and I got like extra scholarship money. So it ended up being that if I took the extra class, it would essentially pay for itself. Like it was actually, or maybe it was even like cheaper to take the class than to not. So I'm like, well, might as well. Like that's a hecka deal, right? So anyway, I took the same class again because there were really no other like classes I guess I wanted to take, or none that really, you know, I guess yeah, none that I wanted to take maybe. Anyway, so yeah, I ended up taking the class, the third one in this series. So there's like 1, 2, 3. I took the third one twice in a row. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I took the third iteration. So it was somebody else, or another sort of class group of people had already started the prototype. So the first time I saw the game like prototype, oh, we don't have any stone, let's get a little bit. Yeah, the first time I saw the game prototype was when it was already like kind of built out, which is a new experience because the previous one, the previous class, I had started it from scratch, and I'm like, wow, the game's completely different than what we set out to do, you know? But that one I had no idea, so I don't know if that matters, but I just wanted to give context for some reason, I don't know. I guess it's good to include. Anyway, yeah, so in both times, there was always the discussion, both times there was discussion, 2 times, always. There's discussion of like, oh, should we make the game free to play, or should we make it cost money? So my argument was make it free to play to get more players, because in my personal games, that was a problem. Getting people to actually play it was a ginormous pain. Like I talked about this yesterday, where it's like, oh, it's gonna hurt indie devs when Unity makes you pay 20 cents of the dollar for the money you make from your game over 200,000 players or $200,000, or actually it's both. And so my argument was like, you know, it's not gonna actually affect anybody that's a real indie. In my mind, an indie is like, you know, kind of small. Like I would consider myself an indie developer. Not anymore. Well, I mean, I don't really make any games anymore, but when I was making games, I was definitely indie. And it's like, you see these people, they have like, you know, like if you have a ginormous studio, like yeah, sure, indie. I feel like we need different layers of indie. Like it's like indie developer, like, you know, solo indie developer versus you have a ginormous studio and bajillions of dollars to throw around. Like I'd consider that double A. Like triple A is like the big games. Indie might be like single A or like lower than single A, you know? That's my justification, or my denomination of that. So anyway, that's why it's like, oh, the poor indies is like, yeah, the poor indies have bajillions of dollars, so it's like, I don't really feel that bad for them. I feel bad, like, I mean, yeah, obviously, like, Unity shouldn't, it's a bad decision by Unity. Unity's been, like, bleeding money for a while. Like, I have, or had Unity stock, and I still have it, and it's been going down and down. Like, I'm down, like, hundreds of dollars on my Unity stock, like, they are not doing well. I bought it when it first came out, which was a stupid idea. I really don't know what to do when it comes to stocks. Like, I really just don't know what to do. Like, I did really well, and then I lost all my money, so I stopped, and then I just held onto the stocks. So when I log into my account, it's like, compared to like the money you spent, you're minus like $4,000 of value. Which is not that bad. I'm about the same as I started out with what, maybe like, what did I start with, like maybe 1,000 or something? Or was it 250? I think it was 250. One of those numbers. Anyway, it was one of those amounts. And anyway, yeah, that's the one I started out with. And then I got up to like maybe 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, somewhere in that range. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing well. I'll just do the same thing as I was doing. And I did. And then the economy was like bad or something, and then I lost all my money. I mean, I basically just got lucky on a bunch of stuff. Ironically, it was like some of my the people I was talking to in university, like they were all into it. They're like giving me tips and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll follow your advice. And then right after that was when everything just tanked. Like everything they suggested like just did not pan out. So now you know why I'm hesitant to take advice from people. Anyway, back to the original tangent, which I'm remembering for some reason, which is actually a miracle. Yeah, we're discussing whether to make the game like pay to play or free. Everybody's like, oh, paid to play because we want to make money. And the teacher, of course, was like playing into this. They were like, oh, like, yeah, if you make it pay to play, they're talking about like the revenue split, as if we were going to make enough money to be able to split it in the first place. And because I already knew, I mean, I knew in the first place, I already knew from, yeah, I mean, I knew even in the previous class where people decided to do the revenue split and we still haven't seen a dime of that. Like, I don't even think it made like $100. And that's like including family and friends buying it and stuff. Like, yeah, games, like it's hard to make an indie game, like an actual indie game that's actually popular. Oh, yeah, anyway, yeah, even in the previous class, right, I didn't know, but I was pretty confident in saying like, yeah, you know, I don't think we're going to be making any money off this game. Let's just try to get a bunch of players for the game such that if we want to make a sequel, we can make it a paid DLC. But at least get the game off the ground first, then you can worry about money. Because worrying about money in the first place is a really bad idea, because people are like, it just I mean, anyway, a free game is always going to be more popular than a paid game if you're an indie, if everything else is equal. I'm pretty confident in that. Maybe not always, but pretty often it's going to be that way. So anyway, we did that and we still haven't seen a dime from it. So I was going to that in the next class and I was like, yeah, like, oh yeah, like let's make it a free game, at least get some players. Again, we can do a paid DLC, we can do a sequel, we can do a new game with the same studio name, we can build a following. They're like, no, we want like to make money off this game. And of course nobody's still seen a dime off that either. So anyway, I'm not saying that I was right. Well, yeah, I am. Of course I was right. It's obvious to anybody that, I mean, I don't want to diss the people that were in that class, but it's like so obvious, it's like hard to think about how you could even consider it to not be obvious. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such an obvious thing to me that is the case. It's hard to even think how it wouldn't be obvious. Does that make sense?